Hello everyone, this is Ankur Joshi. I'm the founder and CEO of Nuclei. Nuclei is a fintech startup based in India which works with banks across the globe and develops multiple products which we implement in order to provide innovative products to the bank's customers. This podcast is a series of conversations with leaders from across geographies from the banking industry, where we speak to them, we understand their journey, we understand what drives them, we understand how they have come through the journey, the discipline which was required, some of the biggest learnings, their leadership skills, etc. Today, I am honored to invite Manish to our podcast. Manish is a industry veteran and a leader I look up to. He has continuously changed his benchmarks and leveled up over a period of time. I respect that a lot because a lot of times that becomes difficult as we go ahead in life. But Manish has consistently shown that leadership, that drive to go to the next level. Manish, welcome to the podcast. And I'm really looking forward to know about your journey a bit more in detail.
Thank you very much, Ankur. Really humble to be on this podcast, and thank you very much for this uh, introduction. I'm not sure I'm worthy of that, but thanks. Thank you very much.
I know you, I mean, we were conversing before we started recording, and I understand, Manish, you are a very, very humble human being, but I need to dig deep into that as well, right? Like where this humility comes from. So before we go into your professional experience, let's go back to your growth years, your formative years. And The reason I'm going back is that a lot of times what motivates people is generally some of the events or some of the experiences they have had during their formative years, during their teen years, right? And I want to understand what has been the motivating factors for you. What gives you that drive? What gives you that fire in the belly to keep going again and again and again, and upgrading your benchmarks every few years?
So, very interesting point you bring up, Ankur, and you're so right that sometimes things subconsciously develop inside in the formative years that you don't know actually the source of that. But then when you reflect back, you think maybe these are the experiences that might have been the reason for who you are and what you are. So to really look at myself, I need to go back uh, not 60 years because first 8 9 years I may not remember much, but I come from a small mid-sized town, small that time when I was growing up, from a town called Amritsar in Punjab, right? And that's a town which had its own, still has its own charm, its own culture, its own way of life, very laid back in those days and times. And we grew up in a very different small town environment, friends all around, and very local language, local culture. We didn't have exposure to big city environments. So and that's where I did my schooling. So when I suddenly landed up in my engineering college in a big city like Delhi, it was like a fish from a small pond going into the sea. And there are these all big fish all around you, and you don't know how to survive. You don't know how to swim alongside them, behind them, in front of them. What do you do? That those that was the time when really something came into being that yes, you are as capable as anybody else. It's just that you need to be able to have the confidence in yourself. Because I still remember very clearly the first 2 3 months of my engineering college, and then it was like a lost soul roaming around. When see, I came from a town where English was not a language of medium of speaking. We learned the language, but we never spoke. And here we are in an environment where you have these big city kids who are trying to show off. and the environment in our country that time. So it was kind of thing that, are you as good as them or not? And then 3 months later, you realize actually you are maybe as good or better than them in terms of your knowledge of the subjects, your experiences. Just that you're not able to express it the way it needs to be expressed and all. And that kind of inherently gave that strength and the thinking that no, I can do it. I am going to do it. That time, certainly you don't realize what is going through. But now, when a conversation like this happens, and you realize where did this come from, and then you realize these were the experiences that really changed you inside and made you stronger in an environment which was completely new to you, and you had to survive. Not only survive, you had to thrive. And I think that's the kind of thing that I'll describe. That's how the journey started, and that's how it panned. Late 70s and early 80s is what I will
Let
say.
me just get in there. So quite I don't know, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, this is extremely similar to my experience, right? And which I have spoken about in the past as well. That when I landed in Bombay from Indore, uh, although my parents did well, and in terms of making sure that I got a good education in an English medium school, but again, the environment around you matters. And Indore was just like Amritsar was a very small town, did not have the atmosphere where you would speak in English with each other. And when I landed in Bombay, like you landed in Delhi, and you have all these kids coming from boarding schools and from Delhi, Bombay, who could speak fluent English, there is a lot of insecurity which comes into you. And you just exactly like you, I also question that I can't be their peer, right? Because I'm so much behind them. And I think it's very similar, our experience in that way, because it took me a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, maybe a semester to get over the fact that English is not everything, right? There's also my hard work, there's also the knowledge base which I have. And very similar to you, it took some time to, gain that confidence and feel confident that yes, these guys could be my peers. But I think and again, exactly similar at that point of time, I also never realized that this is something which is going to be a turning point. This realization that even if I'm behind in certain aspect, I can make up and be at par with them because of certain other aspects. Maybe it is my hard work, maybe it is my knowledge base, right? It's only in hindsight that you realize that that was a turning point. But yeah, please go on.
So that's basically, I would say. So you mentioned about what drives you. I think those are the kind of experiences that make you stronger inside. Uh, and then that, when because they are in early years of your life, they carry on with you, and that defines your personality and the way you think for rest of your life. And that's what is, I believe, has stayed with me, that I'm as good as anybody else. See, if I go through my life, right, where I started from, to Delhi, to then to multiple countries around the world. Again, the same thing happens when you go from India to US or to Middle East to Singapore or wherever. Again, you're going in a different sea. But now that you can thrive, you can you are as good as anybody else. It doesn't matter now which environment I'm put in, because that inherent thought process is there, that I could do there, I can do here also, because I am confident in my knowledge, my experience that I'm bringing to a certain situation, and that's what keeps on going and keeps on helping you in life.
That's a very interesting insight, because this is not something which you can learn in a book or learn from someone else. You have to go through that experience. You have to be in that uncomfortable situation for weeks or months to this is kind of a self-realization about your own
Yep.
abilities, right? Right. So let's go back a bit. You spoke about earlier that your father wanted you to become a doctor, and you wanted to follow your path in technology and engineering. And again, like DC is a extremely good engineering college. How did that conversation go about? Because considering in 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe even today, most of the middle class parents want their in India want their kids to either become an engineer or a doctor, right? And it's very difficult to convince parents during our teen years that I don't want to do this, I want to do something else. So how did you go about doing that?
So my father's was a very selfish interest why he wanted me to be a doctor. The reason was very simple. At that point in time in Amritsar, there was a well reputed medical college, but there was no engineering college. And he, being a father, did not want me to go away if I could stay closer, right? That was his interest. And I understood that, but I also knew very clearly that I am a, how will I say, a left brain guy, right? I like maths, I like logic, and I am not going to be a good doctor. I'm going to kill somebody someday if I become a doctor. So the good thing in my father always was very open to listening, and he, when I told him no, I really don't want to do medical, there was really no argument. He said, I want you to be here, I want to be a doctor, but if you want to be engineer, no problem at all. Go ahead and do it. And I really appreciate, because in those days, parents could actually be very, how will I say, adamant in forcing children to do. But I was luckily in an environment where we were very open in discussion, and I had a very clear conversation. See, Papa, I don't like medicine. I don't like biology. So that was a 30-minute conversation just a day before signing which course I want to go. And he said, no problem, go ahead. And here I am, 37 years later. And I
You
think I made a right decision. I would have killed somebody.
like you grew up with siblings or
Yes, yes. I have an elder sister. Then I am a twin. I have a twin sister.
oh
And
nice.
I have a younger brother. My younger brother is a doctor.
Okay.
But
So
he
you're
didn't do it from Amritsar. He did it from Pune. So he still went very far away. But yeah, he's a doctor.
so how was like a lot of times like I grew up in a joint family, so you're like seven brothers and sisters, and the conversation, the focus on education when you're growing up in a nuclear family versus when you're growing up in a joint family is very very different. Like in a joint family there is a lot of competition, a lot of comparison. uh, you had three more siblings, so how was that environment at home? How did that help you uh, you know gain upper hand when you went out in the world?
So, as I said, our family environment is such where it was very education oriented. Although I come from a business family, but inherently there was very education oriented. So my elder sister actually is a postgraduate MA in English as well. So, but there never was pressure. Sit down, do this, study this, 5 hours, 6 hours till 11 o'clock, whatever. I was a guy who used to study always in front of a television set. When television came to Amritsar in 1974 or 75, as early as that, I could never study. Once the TV was off, I was off to sleep. As long as I could do my work, there was never any pressure from my mother or for my father that you need to do. Fortunately, all of us, brothers, sisters, were God's grace, were good enough that did not need any extra pressure. But the reflection of that is now when I became a parent, and my wife luckily also with the similar thought process, we never put pressure on our children that you must do this 6 tuitions and study till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night, or get up at 5 a.m. And they have done very well because the environment was such that I strongly believe that children thrive in a open, less stressful environment, if you let them do what they want to do, but with, of course, guardrails and guidance as a parent that you need to provide, because that's what I got from my parents. And I think I did reasonably well coming from the background that I came. I think that concept and that philosophy worked well for my children as well. So
So
it
one
was
of
a
the
very
things,
lucky childhood.
good, good, good. Uh, I think your parents were a blessing for you to give you that kind of an experience. And one of the things which I have observed is that a lot of leaders derive their leadership skills from some leaders in their family, and the way they were kind of brought up comes into the way they lead their teams over a period of time, right? So, a lot of parents focus on having high moral fiber, like a very strong moral fiber, right, or fabric, and the sense of fairness is instilled into a lot of people that you need to be fair, and that gets reflected into how people lead, both positively as well as negatively, right? Given that you had such a freedom while you were growing up, and you give that freedom, provided that freedom to your kids also, how has this transferred into your leadership skill? And how, like, I'm sure like you lead a very big team, and there would be uh, kids who are like 21, 22, 25, who would be essentially reporting into you, or ruling up to you. How has that transferred into your leadership skills?
That's a absolutely brilliant question. And actually, the moment you were using the word, I was thinking how what is the relationship, and it is actually brilliant because when I look back at the way I manage my teams and the way I manage my kids, actually is now that I'm thinking real time is actually very similar in terms of giving them freedom with guardrails, guidance, and let them go and do it and trust them that they will do it. This is exactly now it is brilliant question because it has really made me think what is the similarity with how I was managed by my parents, how I manage my kids, and how I manage my teams. And the similarity is trust them, give them advice, guidance, mentoring, and believe that they will do it. Come in when they need help, be there for them, then they will do it. If you really go after their life, if you make life difficult for them too much, to the extent that they cannot handle, neither your kids will deliver results nor your teams will deliver results. So that's the similarity, I think, and that has come from my childhood to the way I manage teams to the way I manage my kids. So that's the thread that will go through is completely trust the people to deliver the job. And one thing that I'm very clear on is there are two ways of managing people. You trust them till they give you reason not to trust. And you don't trust anybody till they give you confidence and reason to trust.
Mhm.
I live my life, or I have lived whole my life by the first principle.
Right.
I trust people till they give me a reason not to trust them. And once they break that trust, it's very difficult for them to regain my trust. So, because I live by that philosophy, it makes my life very simple. The day I start engaging, I trust. We walk the journey till I find that this person is not trustworthy. So you don't always see if you live by second philosophy, then every action that somebody is taking, because you're not trusting, you have to validate, you have to review, you have to do this, that. That is making your own life very difficult,
Correct.
right? So I have lived peacefully with my first philosophy, and I'm very proud that I have created strong teams with that. Of course, there are incidents when we have found, okay, here are out of 20 people, one guy is not trustworthy, it hurts you. But then there are 19 people who trusted and who delivered.
Correct.
Life is simpler.
Correct, correct. So, like this insight actually came to me a few years back. So my nana used to live with us, and he was a complete Gandhian, wore khadi throughout his life, and he used to constantly keep telling my parents and then also me a muhavra in Hindi, and I'll so it's like the muhavra is meant for something else, but we'll derive. I did kind of uh, took something a different meaning out of it. So he used to say that पूत सपूत तो क्यों धन संचय and पूत कपूत तो क्यों धन संचय, right? That if your kid is a good kid, then why you don't need to save wealth for her. If your kid is not a good kid, then
And
also you
also,
shouldn't do that, right? And from dhan I am essentially picking out, it's not, it's wealth, right? So money as well as your investment of time is wealth. So that translated into team management in a way that if someone in your team is really good, you don't need to make a lot of efforts to manage that person, right? They will manage themselves, they will do wonders on their own. You don't even have to invest a lot of time in them, just guide them, right? And if someone in your team is not great, then you should definitely not invest time behind them, right?
absolutely.
And that kind of relates with what you said, that trust, give out trust for free initially, but till they give you a chance to not trust them. But that's a brilliant philosophy to uh, live by, both I think professionally as well as personally. So having spoken about your philosophy, I want to understand more deeply about what drives you. And you have had a successful career, you have changed benchmarks a lot of times. You have grown from managing a particular product to managing a particular geography to managing multiple geographies, right? And specifically speaking about APAC region, which is a extremely complex region from a cultural perspective, from the economies are also at a very different levels, not just from the size but also different uh, points of their growth, right? How do you one motivate yourself to keep on changing that benchmark? What keeps you going? Like what drives you? Why were you not, let's say, satisfied in 2005 that I have achieved a lot in my life and now I'm going to rest? Like it's very rare. Trust me, like I come across such people very rarely who have the ability to motivate themselves even after they have achieved so much success. So what keeps you going?
So, being in technology, so if you go back when I started my career what, 37 and a half years ago, the concept of a desktop in India did not exist. Even in Western world, they're just starting to come. And the only place there were computers was so-called computer center in some enterprise. There's some data entry machines and some data crunching happening on a computer somewhere. To the point where we are today, where a 2-year-old is carrying a very powerful computer in their hand in the shape of mobile, and the chat GPT doing what is trying to do, right? Uh, the so that's the journey from a technology angle that I have seen, being all these years in technology side, not lucky enough to do multiple different line of businesses like you. I'm very narrow focused, unfortunately, but the journey in the technology industry has been very exciting and very fast paced, especially somewhere from mid 90 onwards. The change of technology has been so fast that that in itself has been a roller coaster ride. It's been a, a journey that you just feel you can't stop. It's changing every 2 years. There's so much of advancement in technology that you want to continue to learn and you want to continue to add value, and you feel that if I don't do it, I'm going to fall behind, because so many things have happened in the technology industry. So that drive, the changes in the technology sector and how they are affecting our lives, everybody's, whether enterprise or individual consumers, all us. that is something that keeps me not does not let me stop. Let me put it that way. I know a time will come soon when I'll say enough is enough, let somebody else do it. But it's so many changes happening that I don't know what is next. And that is something. I mean, I thought, okay, fine, life is settling down. Then you suddenly have Chat GPT. Now, people like you, me, also have spent enough time in playing with it and reading about it and see, okay, how can it affect individuals? How will it affect students? What it can do for businesses? So suddenly, within last 3 months, 4 months, there is so much new things around that itself. That's the excitement that keeps you going, keeps you driving to learn more and more and more. You certainly can't learn as much as younger generation can, but there is so much to learn, so much to do there in technology field, because now it is affecting lives directly, absolutely directly, from the man on the street to a farmer to a CEO of a large company and anybody in between, right? I mean, COVID, if the technology was not there, I don't know what would have happened to this world, right? The e-commerce, the home deliveries, the vaccines, the mobile applications to track everybody, and with speed with which governments and businesses reacted to all that. That's something that is amazing, and that's something that what you are doing, for example, your own organization, trying to bring together completely new service sets through the banks. Okay, that there is no end to it. So that is something that drives. Um, Hopefully, it will continue to drive for a few more years. But yeah, that is what I'll say. What keeps me going.
Absolutely. I think you're going to do that for the rest of your life. This becomes a
Let's
way
see.
of life and it doesn't change. No, this behavior or I should say personality trait, right, is something which a lot of people would want to have. Is there a process in your mind which people can follow and become more like you? Or if at all it's not a process and it's an experience which someone has to go through, right? Like we spoke about your engineering college. What is the advice that you would give, let's say, to a fresh graduate who has just come into their jobs, that what can they do to develop this kind of a personality trait, uh, to remain very, very curious? Uh, like it becomes a personality trait, like it becomes a way of life. That how do you remain curious over the course of your whole life? And what advice would you give to them? Because that clearly is a key requirement to become a good leader in life, I believe.
So I don't know. I can give much advice here, but one thing that I certainly would like to tell younger generation is meet people, talk to people face to face, shake hands, and always be ready to learn from each other. As I said in the beginning, learning is a two-way traffic. Okay? I may be having a 37-year experience in professional life, but I can always learn from my daughter who is finishing university, because what she knows I don't know. What I know she doesn't know. Okay? So be open to learn two-way, and that learning is not going to happen on WhatsApp or Instagram. They are good to connect to people, but there is this hesitancy in younger generation that I see of actually physically meeting people. Uh, I think the best learning to me is when you meet people face to face, learn to understand different behaviors, why somebody is behaving in a certain way, certain manner. Um, that defines relationships, that builds relationships, that gives you a better understanding of different people, different cultures. Uh, so in today's world, you wherever you work, you're going to deal with people from different backgrounds, cultures, languages, and that the more you meet people, the more you interact with them face to face or physically, the more you learn about them, the better you will interact. And technology learning is going to happen because there is no choice to that. Okay? You want to remain relevant, you have to learn and learn every single day. And I think that this generation understands that already. Uh, that you have to continuously learn on the job yourself, whichever manner you can, because technology is moving so fast. You don't learn something in 1 year, you are going to be irrelevant, especially with the way AI is getting involved in even code writing. Half the code is now can automatically be written by AI, right? So now, how do you go above that code that is written by AI? You have to learn something better to add value on top of what AI is written for you already. So that part will happen, but the human interaction part is what defines personalities, defines your attitude and behavior, and your ability to be a leader. Unless you understand people, you will not be able to lead people. And leadership does not mean you just give directions and get things done. It's about how you develop teams, trust, relationships, bonds, interactions. That is leadership, not just getting things done. For that, you need to understand people, and for that, the only way is to actually talk to people, meet people, interact with them. So
That's
I
a
am from a generation where naturally virtual did not exist, right?
Mhm,
So we grew up from that perspective. And I feel comfortable meeting people rather than messaging,
mhm.
or I will pick up phone and talk rather than do a WhatsApp message. To me, that's more comfortable because I can hear a voice. See, I give this example to a lot of people. The When you write an email, the emotion of that email depends on the reader, not the writer. If I'm in an angry mood, you might have written something very, simple thing. But if I'm in a bad mood, I may read that in a very different way and react to it in a different way. But when I'm talking to you, I'm I am listening to your emotion and the way you want to portray it,
Absolutely.
right? So those are the things that are very important and gives you human and behavioral understanding.
That's such a valuable advice to give. And I think this particular trait is extremely underrated. People don't understand the importance of it. I believe, I think that's one of the most important thing that anyone at any age can do it, to understand how to uh, interact with people, the whole social psychology of it. I think that's one of the most important thing to learn as an individual. Manish, very, very insightful and very uh, it's amazing to learn from you. It's amazing to learn about your experiences. Like I am kind of blown away with this conversation. Thank you so much because it has also given me a lot of things to think about, right? Like after this conversation, I'm going to sit back and think about, yeah, these are the things which I should also be doing. Uh, One last question to you, and I'm going to put you on the spot with this one. What is the kindest thing that anyone has ever done for you?
Lot of incidents,
You
because
can give multiple. You can give
without
multiple.
people's help, you will not. Nobody can go through their life journey. I'm just thinking maybe one incident that I will rate it as okay. I think maybe that also has influenced me in some shape or form. And that particular incident happened long time back. I don't even remember my exact age that time. I think I was 9 or 10 years old, and my elder sister, 2.5 years elder to me, so she was 12, 13, somewhere in between there. My maternal grandparents, my mother is from Bombay, Mumbai, all right? And we were in Amritsar. So every summer holiday, that time the only trip you make is to your maternal grandparents' house. So every summer we used to go from Amritsar to Mumbai, and that time it was a long train journey, 36 hours. That particular year, something happened that my parents could not travel with us, especially my mother could not travel with us. But we were adamant, both of us were adamant in going. So my parents took this risk, and I'm talking about, I think 1973, 74 time frame this was. The concept of mobile phone did not exist.
Yeah.
There's no way you can connect to somebody once you sit in the train and train leaves. So they took a big chance with us, booked an air-conditioned chair car in this train used to be Deluxe Express, I still remember. Amritsar to Bombay Central, and put us in the train. Naturally, my mama, oh yes, this train, that train, all that stuff on the phone prior to departure. Everything okay. Normally, we should have um, the food gets served in the train. Everything is fine, not a problem. We will reach somewhere between Kota, Katlam area because of some flood or something. A bridge got destroyed on the way, so the train had to stop and then get diverted through, I think, Indore
Oh,
side
okay.
or something. Yeah.
Okay.
And that train got late by 12 hours. 12 hours. Two kids, nobody around, and nobody can know where we are, what we are, right? Nobody, no information. Those 12 hours, the people who were around us in the train took care of two of us as family,
Wow.
providing us food, ensuring we have everything that we need, and comforting us. Don't worry, if nobody is there, Mumbai station, we will take care of you and all. Literally, those 12 hours, complete strangers, right? But they realize that these two kids are all alone, and the train is stuck for 12 hours and late. And we naturally might have started crying or something. That those 12 hours, I have some vague faces that come to me. Naturally, don't know the names of those people or nothing like that. But the way they took care of us for those 12 hours, that tells you that humanity was there, is there, and as long as we are humans, will remain with us. We reached safely. On the other end, when we reached, naturally, our family was there to receive us. They were tracking with the railway authorities. But that incident and that vague memory from my childhood stays with me. How strangers came to your assistance when you really needed it. That to me is the top incident of my life.
Wow. Wow. That's an amazing story. I think such stories have the power to shape your personality, and I'm sure it has done for you as well. Manish, thank you so much for giving your time to have this conversation. I really appreciate it. And the next time I'm in Singapore, I owe you dinner. We will definitely meet.
I would
Thank you
love
so
to catch up with you. Please do let me know when you're coming to Singapore. We'll have a good dinner and sit down and conversation about you because, as I said before you started recording, your own journey is such an inspiration uh, to me as well as to a lot of people who will hear what you have done so far. And I wish you great success going forward.
Thank you so much, Manish. Really appreciate it. And I'm humbled with
Thank you.
those words. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.